The ignorance paradox, how knowledge keeps freedom alive. 1. The forgotten rule. Freedom without knowledge is like a car without fuel, it might look nice, but it's not going anywhere. Thomas Jefferson warned that a nation expecting to be ignorant and free is dreaming of something that never was and never will be. So what does that actually mean? It means liberty isn't inherited, it's learned, protected, and practiced. From Caesar to Stalin, tyrants have always known that uneducated people are easier to manage. Keep them busy, keep them confused, and they'll never notice the chains tightening. Ignorance isn't just a gap, it's a cage, as Benjamin Rush put it. And those who control information hold the keys. Footnote. This section establishes that freedom depends on widespread knowledge, while ignorance enables tyranny to thrive. 2. The old trick. Every empire has tried it. Limit access to books, silence teachers, rewrite history. When people stop asking questions, rulers stop giving answers. St. George Tucker called ignorance the footstool of despotism. Sounds poetic, but it's also terrifying. Thomas Paine saw the same pattern. Reason obeys itself, he wrote, ignorance submits to whatever is dictated. That's a polite way of saying, people who don't think for themselves get bossed around by those who do. So what does that actually mean? Tyrants don't fear rebellion, they fear education. Once you can read, you can compare. Once you can compare, you start asking uncomfortable questions. Footnote. This section explains that the suppression of education is a deliberate strategy for maintaining control. 3. Ancient lessons. Even the Romans caught on. When Greek philosopher Carneades came to Rome and charmed the youth with logic, Senator Cato panicked. He wasn't worried about the man's words, he was worried about ideas spreading faster than soldiers could stop them. He sent the philosopher packing. The message? Don't let people start thinking too much, they might get ideas about fairness or justice. Tyranny hates both. Footnote. This section shows that fear of education as a threat to authority dates back to antiquity. 4. Medieval maintenance. Fast forward 1,000 years. John Adams studied Europe's dark centuries and saw how kings and clergy perfected the art of ignorance. Keep the peasants uneducated, and they'll fight your wars and farm your fields without question. Teach them too much, and suddenly they want wages, rights, and maybe, heaven forbid, a say in their own lives. Adams wrote that the feudal system deliberately stripped people of the knowledge of their rights and wrongs. It wasn't neglect, it was policy. Footnote. This section highlights how ignorance was institutionalized in medieval Europe to maintain control over the populace. 5. The whack-a-mole of tyranny. Knowledge started spreading during the Reformation, and tyranny panicked. But despots are creative. If they couldn't stop people from learning, they'd twist what they learned. John Locke called this learned ignorance pretending to educate while quietly misleading. It's the same trick today, flood the system with noise, call it truth, and keep everyone too distracted to notice. So what does that actually mean? Censorship got a facelift, it's called information overload. Footnote. This section explains how manipulation of knowledge replaced suppression as a modern tool of control. 6. The polite lies of power. John Dickinson had it figured out back in 1767. He said power-hungry rulers always try to make their overreach look legal. They don't say, "We're breaking the rules." They say, "We're protecting you." Every new restriction gets wrapped in a ribbon of good intentions. Politicians never admit they lack authority. They just redefine the law until it fits their plan. And as long as enough people don't understand the difference, the game keeps going. Footnote. This section points out how governments legitimize overreach through deceptive legal framing. 7. The cost of apathy. George Washington saw it coming too. He said ignorance and deception grow together. One feeds the other until both choke out freedom. Add a little laziness, and liberty doesn't just fade, it falls asleep entirely. St. George Tucker warned, when ignorance unites with supineness, liberty becomes lethargic. Translation? When people stop caring, tyranny stops hiding. Footnote. This section stresses that ignorance combined with public apathy accelerates the decay of freedom. 8. The comeback. Thomas Paine had the last laugh. Ignorance can't survive once light hits it. It cannot be re-established, he said. Once you know, you can't unknow. That's the tyrant's worst nightmare, an informed citizen who can't unsee the truth. Abigail Adams called learning a mission, not an accident. It must be sought for with ardor and attended to with diligence. Or in modern terms, freedom takes homework. So what does that actually mean? Ignorance may be comfortable, but knowledge is contagious. And once it spreads, it's game over for the gatekeepers. Footnote. This section concludes that education permanently weakens tyranny and sustains liberty.